Well, apparently that's not going to work because the way I have my camera set up here, which is actually off of a tablet, um, my little holder arm's not trying to bend the way I want it to, so we're just going to keep my laptop off camera, but I will be reading off of my screen here. So, again, 1 minute. So now I have it open. I'm going to go over to the search bar, and I'm going to type in all. Whoops, that's not all. All the promises that Trump made. Enter. Trumpometer tracking Trump's campaign promises. Come on, mouse. Come on. Let's see. U.S. election 2020. Has Trump delivered on his promises? This is from the BBC, so it's not even in the U.S. So we're going to read multiple articles here just to, corroborate and cross-examine certain aspects of who said what. So, U.S. election 2020. Has Trump delivered on his promises? It's been 4 years since Donald Trump made a string of promises during his long 2016 campaign to be the 45th president of the United States. 4 years later, his supporters often cite promises made, promises kept as a reason why they're backing him again. Many of them made headlines, from banning all Muslims entering the U.S. to building a border wall paid for by Mexico. But others went a little under the radar, like his pledge to eliminate national debt. So how has he done in keeping his promises? Tax cuts. He delivered on tax cuts. Sure. Before election, Trump promised to lower the corporate tax rate and bring in huge tax cuts for working Americans. Now, before I read further on that, there's a little caveat to that. The tax cuts to the working middle class, that only lasted 2 years. It ended in 2022. Or late 2021. I can't exactly remember. But the rest of the tax cuts stayed because of the language of the bill that was passed, and now those tax cuts are passed off to the rich, which made them pay very much less in taxes. Then, after that, the Republican tax plan passed in December of 2017. Okay, so I was wrong on the year. And it largely ticks the box for the president, although its merits are wholly disputed. He has had to compromise on his pledge to bring corporation tax down from 35% to 15%. It will be 21% instead. And the tax cuts for individuals will expire, although Republicans say future governments will simply renew them. But wealthy Americans are expected to benefit more than poorer ones. So, tracks with what I said. And the tax cuts for... I already read that part. Not everyone saw their taxes lowered. For some higher earners in urbanized, mostly Democratic states, taxes went up due to a cap on state and local properties and income tax deductions. So, Paris climate deal. Before, as a candidate, Mr. Trump derided? Okay. Climate change as a hoax, concocted by China and the regulations of Paris, and stifling to American growth. After 3 months of hemming and hawing behind the closed doors of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the president came to came down decisively on the side near the exits, quitting the Paris deal, signed by nearly 200 countries, is unequivocally a promise kept. The exit officially takes effect November 4th, the day after the U.S. election. So these are all, before the 2020 election. And the reason why the Paris climate deal, they say it's something kept, is because, yeah, it actually happened. But that's a bad thing. Climate change is real. Climate change is real. There's no other way around it. Reshaping the judiciary. Yep, he did that. He put in Trumpers. He put in Trump supporters that would actually do his bidding when it came to clerical and, like it says here, judiciary stuff. Before, and in quotes, it says, "I am looking for judges and have actually picked 20 of them. They'll respect the Second Amendment and what it stands for and what it represents." Now, a lot of people misinterpret what exactly the Second Amendment says. I'm not going to get into that here because I'm already kind of going into a long rant on what this is going to be. So anyway, after he vowed to appoint a conservative judge or justice, and he has appointed two, Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh. We already know what's going on with Brett Kavanaugh, don't we? Mr. Gorsuch's appointment required a procedural change to Senate rules, but it was Kavanaugh's appointment that was particularly controversial. Kavanaugh faced sexual assault allegations, which he denied. Obviously, somebody's going to deny it. And was eventually voted through by 50 to 48, the tightest nomination since 1881. What's more, his third nominee, Amy Coney Barrett, is on course to be confirmed. If approved by the Republican-controlled Senate, she could ensure a conservative majority on the Supreme Court for decades to come. Now, see, since this whole thing has happened, Roe v. Wade got overturned, which is stupid. And again, not going to get into that topic here. It's a pretty touchy subject for a lot of people. So, yeah, I'm going to leave that alone right now. We will get into that in another video, hopefully. If I don't forget that I have this series being made. And I will leave that in the video. I'm not going to cut that at all. I'm going to get the camera a little better here. Sorry. Oh, and before I upload this video, this will be left also in this video. There's a certain somebody that I'm uploading this for, and they will be tagged down below. Anyway, in addition to making his mark on the top court, Mr. Trump has appointed nearly 200 conservative judges to lower federal courts. Now, see, when Obama was in office and he was trying to pick certain judges for certain areas of judiciary, people complained, and those people were of a conservative nature. Yet when Trump does it, it's completely okay. Why? Because it's packing the courts, of course. How has Trump's Supreme Court changed America? One of Mr. Trump's trademark rally pledges was to repeal and replace Obamacare, which he never got done. No progress was made on that whatsoever. His predecessors attempt to extend health care to the estimated 15% of the country who were not covered. It is widely hated by Republicans who say the law imposes too many costs to business, with many describing it as their job killer and decrying the reforms, officially the Affordable Care Act, as an unwarranted intrusion into the affairs of private businesses and individuals. They threw the individual part in there because they wanted it to sound good. And people who weren't, let's say, the sharpest tool in the shed believed that. It had nothing to do with hiring costs. It actually preserved business and caused individual costs to go down. But Obamacare was not an insurance thing. It actually worked with insurance companies and medical institutions to actually lower costs of medication. Now, whether or not you want to debate on that, that's neither here nor there. But Republicans have been unable to pass a repeal or reform bill. Why? Because it's unnecessary. With that being said, the Trump administration had managed to dismantle parts of the law. Enrollment periods have been shortened, of course, because they don't like people. They don't want them to be healthy. They want them to be sick so they can keep making money for their friends. Some subsidies have been axed, and the fine for people who did not purchase health care insurance has been eliminated as part of the 2017 tax plan. And in December of 2018, a federal judge in Texas ruled that repealing this penalty, an essential part of the law, meant the entirety of Obamacare is therefore unconstitutional. Of course, a lot of these conservative, let's just say people, I hesitate to say that, but not going to go there. A lot of this was because Obama was a black guy. That's all it was, especially with Trump. His father was a racist. Most of his family's racist. Himself is a racist. It's proven day to day in how he talks. He said Mexican people were rapists and drug dealers. And the only reason why people focus on the border is because it's been a talking point in conservative mouthpieces for 40, 50 years. Possibly even longer than that. Now let's get into this for a second. The conservatives hate medical marijuana. They hate medical marijuana. Let's go back to the 1930s for a second before I read more into this. I forget the names of the people that caused marijuana to be illegal, but one of the guys had a newspaper company. He also had a lumber yard, and the people that actually look into marijuana know it can be used in textiles, paper making, woodworking. You can compress the fibers into building materials. I mean, any of that ring a bell with some of the older people that might see this video? Anyway, the law, however, remains in place as an appeal heads to the U.S. Supreme Court, with the ruling expected sometime in 2021. And there's a quote here that shows, Obamacare is a disaster, never had a chance, repeal and replace, lower the cost, nightmare, premiums, deductibles. And it shows Trump. Border wall, no progress. His vow to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexican border was one of the most controversial of Mr. Trump's campaign promises. Mr. Trump also insisted that Mexico would pay for it. Never happened. But on the side that would make conservatives happy, guess who got Mexico to put forth $15 billion? Yeah, it was Biden. Excuse me. Mexico poured scorn on the claim that it would pay for such a barrier, and even Mr. Trump appears to have dropped that idea. Democrats are vociferously opposed to the wall, whereas some Republicans have balked at a bill that could reach $21.5 billion. According to a Department of Homeland Security internal report. Now, here's another point that kind of destroys that whole oh well, they're gonna make Mexico pay for it, and I don't know how much that would track, but all this he and Han, it costs money. It costs money for all this political back and forth. As of right now, the Republican Party is down to like 2 to 5 million. I think it was. I'm not exactly sure what the number is now. In was it Mississippi, or it's a red state. They're down to like $340,000. They're broke. The Democratic Party has somewhere in the neighborhood of 22 to 24 million. I think actually it was more closer to 21, but that just shows the Democrats know what the hell they're doing money-wise. But Trump's border wall, it had chunks of it made, but it was paid for by the taxpayers of America, of the United States of America, not by Mexico. The border wall that is now being built by Biden, so people can't sneak in illegally, which, yes, there is a problem in that, but like with most Republicans, the ones that aren't of couth, they overinflate things to make it sound worse. Look at Liz Cheney. She's as Republican as any of them. But she's not stupid, and she's not trying to get her way by lying to people. None of her policies, most of her policies I don't agree with. A couple of them I do. As of late May, 194 miles of the wall system has been built, mostly to shore up dilapidated or outdated designs of the barrier already in place. Just 3 miles of construction was part of an entirely new system. But also the way the type of design that was made for that wall, it's been showed that it's easier to climb than the other shit they had. Bombing ISIS. He delivered on that. Sure. Cause more strife in the Middle East, make them hate us more. But he got that done, right? Moving Israel embassy. He delivered on that. And I don't know much on the Israel thing, so we're not going to talk about that. Military spending. Oh, yes, military spending. We can spend $800 billion a year on making war machines, but somehow Social Security and food stamps and food assistance, those are entitlement programs? Yeah, kind of sounds like that got shot out of the water with the $800 billion. We could shrink that back down to like $500 billion and still have enough to make our war machines, and give that rest of the 300 billion to the American people for our schools, our roads. But, suffice enough to say, we don't really have to worry about it too much, because I will bring that back up in this conversation here. But yeah, so far so much where, okay, so U.S. military spending in 2008 to 2019. So apparently it was more with Obama and less with Trump. Yeah, because he was cutting so many different things that it kind of screwed with the financial stability of several things that all led up to military cost. That's the only reason. Yeah, and he cut a bunch of regulations. He got rid of a bunch of shit for the railways, for boating, for shipping overseas, a bunch of other things, and it all really just came back to bite us in the end, because look at all the tariffs now. We have to pay more money for the same amount, or even less shit. You guys want to sit there and bitch about inflation. Well, you know what? All the policies that were put in place by Trump has allowed these deregulations. They have allowed a lot of these companies to price gouge. Look at the gas that's going on right now. You guys want to sit there and attribute that to fucking Biden. But let me tell you something. He has nothing to do with it. Trump was the only president in the last 60 years ever, really, to ever try to mess with OPEC and the CEC. Was it the CEC? I don't remember. I can't remember the actual company anagram or whatever you call it. But OPEC and the other one. He called daily for like 3 weeks to the CEO and then the oil baron guy out in the Middle East, the one with OPEC, and tried to. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he was caught meddling with oil. No president does that. No president has done that besides him. These are all findable. These are all, you can all search this stuff up. But as we know, conservatives and MAGA cult members don't read. Cutting regulations. 70% of the U.S. federal regulations, it's just stopping businesses from growing. And no, it's not. Walmart last year alone. What is up, YouTube fam? I am back with another video. It's been quite a while. I was doing shorts for a little while, and then I had to do some just a vacation from doing videos. I was doing videos on another platform for a while. Got off of that because it just became ridiculous. Anyway, let's get into the topic at hand here. I am so done dealing with these MAGA motherfuckers and their reliability on being able to choose whether or not they believe certain things. Now, what I mean by that is Trump doesn't lie, apparently. And, I had commented on a video, and it had something to do with Joe Biden. And look, let's get this out of the way real quick. I don't like Joe Biden. I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. I am not in the Green Party. I am not independent. I don't vote. I have been told that since I don't vote, I don't have a right to have anything to say on any political topic. But here's my rebuttal. I have every right, because I'm not the one voting these jokers into office. By far, Joe Biden has been the best president since Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. Hot take. And I'm not gonna change my mind on that whatsoever. Yeah, Barack Obama did some stupid shit. Joe Biden's doing some stupid shit. Bill Clinton did some stupid shit. So he got his dick sucked in the Oval Office. Boo-hoo. Yeah, I don't see any Democrat trying to take over the government and make themselves dictator-in-chief. So what we're going to do is do a deep dive into Joe Biden and Trump. Let's get into it. I am going to take out my little laptop here. I'm going to open said little laptop. And I am going to turn on said little laptop. And we're going to do some searches. Now, what I'm going to do here is, once I get this loaded and turned on and everything, we are going to turn the camera around and watch as I type. And as it stands now, gas prices are so high, it's hard to get anywhere in your car because of the policies he had fucked with. Now, Biden, let me actually start with this. Not start, but like continue with some of the Trump stuff. Trump didn't want to do anything with Medicare, Medicaid, didn't want to do anything with gun control, didn't even want to do anything with public schools. He kept talking about infrastructure. Every few months, it was something about an infrastructure plan. He never did it. Guess who did? Biden did. And as soon as the infrastructure plan was about to come out, and people said they read the bill, obviously they didn't. All of that was for here. No, almost none of it was going outside of the U.S. And the ones that were going to outside the U.S. were Puerto Rico. That's not outside. It's a U.S. territory. It had nothing to do with Israel. It had nothing to do with Ukraine. It had nothing to do with our other allies. It was all for the U.S. Puerto Rico is outside the U.S., but it's a U.S. territory. Not to say we own it, but it is part of the U.S. And I just, man, conservatives really just open mouth, insert foot. But, yeah. In New Hampshire, the promise drew him support from large and small businesses, blah, 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 blah. We could just, yeah, bringing troops home, partially delivered. I'll just check them off. Partially delivered on trade deals, which kind of fucked us in the end. Think about it. You guys, the people that actually have a brain, that actually see this video, do you remember when Greg Abbott stopped the trucking from Mexico because he was looking for illegal immigrants and drugs? No, he was trying to kiss Trump's ass. That's what it was. That's it. Literally, that was it. U.S.-China trade war in 300 words. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Ban on Muslims, partially delivered. Why? They're people. Just because they're Muslim doesn't mean they're terrorists. But all terrorists are Muslim. That's the thing, yes. But not every Muslim is a terrorist. I've had many friends who were Muslim at the time. I don't know what they're up to now. We've fallen out of contact. But they're very nice people. Hell, there's a guy that works at Walmart. He's Muslim. And he's from freaking Uganda. So all of this was just xenophobia, is what it was. And you can't say otherwise, because that's exactly what the Muslim ban was. Besides 9/11 being an inside job. Let's get that out of the way, because it was. Cuba thaw no more. Partially delivered. China as currency manipulator. Partially delivered. National debt, no progress. He added $8 trillion to the national debt. So far, Biden, in his first 4 years, added 1/4 of that. Do you hear that? 1/4 of the debt. That's it. That's not a lot of money. Plus, we've saved a lot of money by the way he's been doing things. Deporting all illegal immigrants, no progress. Oh my. No progress on rebuilding infrastructure, which is what I was just talking about. Ditching NATO, that was abandoned because we need NATO. Torture, abandoned. Prosecuting Hillary, abandoned because there was just nothing to go on. Everybody kept going, oh, the 30,000 emails, the 30,000 emails. Yeah, she made a boo-boo. It was accidental. She wasn't trying to hide anything. She gave everything she was supposed to give. They found like two things. Two things. And they weren't even top secret. One was classified, but that's not top secret. And it was her personal email that she sent it to whatever she was supposed to be sending it to. And yeah, wouldn't you delete emails because it's bogging up your computer? Hello. But, all the things that Trump said he was going to deliver on, he's only delivered on like 2%. Not all of it was good either. Now, that's just from the BBC. Here's Al Jazeera. Oh, that's probably a trigger word for some of you conservatives out there, isn't it? Trump's biggest campaign promises, did he deliver? So, insurrection should bar Trump from U.S. presidency, lawyers argue. Okay, border wall. See, this is basically all the same shit. Trump also continues to claim Mexico will be covering the cost. Border between the U.S. and Mexico approximately 3,145 kilometers or 1,954 miles long. That is a big-ass fence. If it was ever to be, done. But here's the thing. Right here, it says 371 miles of the wall had been constructed as of October 19th. That's barely a quarter. That's barely a third, actually. Repeal and replace Obamacare is all the same stuff here. Now, let's see. Let's go over to Biden and see what he's delivered on. Now, this one here that I'm pulling up is actually from PolitiFact. And PolitiFact is about a 90% rate on things being truthful. So, PolitiFact, then you have Politico. Politico is actually really good. And if you hear conservatives say that they don't like it because it's not truthful, you know it is. Biden promise tracker. 1% of his promise is broken. So there's actually a graph here. It says promises kept, 27%. 31% has stalled. 34% in the works. So let's say, okay, so promises kept. And let's do a good average of, let's say, another 29%. Just to be safe. So add that to that. That's roughly 46%. 56, actually. 56% of his promises are pretty much done. And I'm not inflating the promises already kept. I'm actually putting in an average of the ones that are in the works. And then there was a 5% compromise. Okay? So top 5 promises. COVID-19 under control. That's been a promise kept. So here it says, and this is a quote, "I'm never going to raise the white flag and surrender. We're going to beat this virus. We're going to get it under control. I promise you." Right now there's probably 40 cases a month. Instead of 20 people getting it an hour under Trump. So that is a thing. So, promise trackers, expanding Justice Department power to address police misconduct, that's been kept. Trying to see the colors here. So, some of them have been stalled. Like, let's see, forgiving student loan, that's kind of going back and forth. He just passed another $5 billion forgiveness. He increased refugee admissions. Good on you, because here's the thing on that. America's a goddamn bully. Plain and simple. They are. We are. The military is used to bully other countries for God. Guns, oil, drugs. Plain and simple. Wireless broadband via 5G expand. That's in the works. The one that's a compromise is use a national commission to address policing issues. Make HBCUs, TCUs, and under-resourced MSIs more affordable for their students. So that's that's in the works. Eliminate mandatory minimums for criminals, especially for first-time criminals. Create a pathway to citizenship for nearly 11 million people. Citizenship is a very long and arduous process, and some people just say fuck it and fail it on purpose because it takes years. It takes years when it should only take weeks to months. The longest it should take is maybe a year. That way you get down the national anthem, you get down all the capitals, blah, 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 blah. Because that's what you have to do. Protect military personnel and veterans from deportation. Because that's one thing Trump was talking about. Biden has improved Obamacare. He's working on doubling the number of immigration judges and staff. He's working on rebuilding health stockpiles to ready for a crisis. To ready for any crisis. Reduce high maternal mortality rate. End wars in Afghanistan and the Middle East. Create National Center to reduce veteran suicide. That's another thing. Trump never did anything for the veterans. There's veterans out there that suck his dick on that. He never did anything for veterans. The VA, it takes months to a year to get an appointment in the VA. I know somebody, he's in his 40s. He was a veteran. He is a veteran. I don't remember what he served in. We haven't had that conversation in like a month or so. He suffers from PTSD. He has PTSD nightmares. Yeah, it's craziness. So lower the cost of prescription drugs. He's already gotten some of that done, and he's working on more of it. Because, namely for our seniors, because of the co-costs of medications are ridiculous. My grandmother, she's diabetic. She has to pay out of pocket almost $600 for 2 medications. That's retarded. Give disadvantaged communities 40% of spending benefits related to clean energy. That is a mega bound to step. But if it works, it gives people much more self-sufficiency learning ability to get out of those programs like I'm trying to do for myself. Okay? Because I'm on an assistance program. He has increased access to VA care beyond 5-year eligibility for combat veterans. He wants to. He had the compromise of restoring Cuba engagement. He's working on investing $300 million in COPS programs. He's working on creating 1 million auto industry jobs. He's working on the Repeal Hyde Amendment. He's working on the Equality Act enactment. End paid discrimination. He has completed reduced health uninsured rate for African Americans. Big bravo on that. He's creating a public credit reporting agency. He's going to codify Roe v. Wade. He wants to rejoin the Iran nuclear deal. He wants to decriminalize marijuana across the board. He has gotten COVID under control. He has kind of, here it shows green, yellow, and red, so kind of succeeded with doubling value of Pell Grants, which that's another good thing to work on. Ow, what did I just stab myself with? What is going on here? That just felt weird. Anyway, he wants to provide better Section 8 vouchers to low-income families to cap housing costs at 30% of income. And he has put U.S. on a course to net zero emissions by 2050. There's just so many good things and things that are in the works. He's made in America tighten rules, guaranteed 12 weeks paid family and medical leave. This is just goal after goal after goal set and met. So he did, however, fail on blocking new fracking on federal lands because of conservative pushback. So on and so on and so on and so on. Now, here's the thing. What prompted this video was a comment made to me about how Trump never lies. That's what I started talking about in the beginning of this video. Now, I'm going to look up every lie that Trump has said. Now, mind you, I'm not going to cover, obviously, every bit of the 30, 40 plus thousand lies, because it's the number has just gotten wider. So I'm going to not show, but because I can't get the camera far down enough, I don't have any way to bring up my laptop into the view of the camera. So there's CNN. Ooh, I know you guys don't like that, you mega groups. Let's see. There's another one by CNN. That was the first of this month. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at CNN, seeing as how no, because lately they've been kind of New York Times. That's right wing. That's been proven right wing. And they're also fact checking his election lies. So I'm not going to go through the entire article because I've already gone through maybe 40 minutes of video here, and I have to edit this. So let's see, blah, 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 blah. Mr. Trump sought to undermine the election, mischaracterizations of the voting and counting process. These are all shown to be fact-checked and all shown to be his lies. False claims about barred observers and lack of verification. That was false. Baseless examples of supposed fraud. And I'll get into that here too, because yeah, it's weird. Conspiracy theories about voting machines. That was proven false. Look at Mr. Pillow. He's being sued. $1.5 billion. Non sequiturs that do not prove fraud. That was a lie. And then it goes into the whole article explaining how all of it's a lie. All of it lacks evidence. All of it does. Everything he says. And you people just eat it up. All you conservative morons. I don't know how else to bring forth any of this other than to just let you know. And I'm actually reading it. I'm not just coming up with this shit. I've been told time and time again, you're just making shit up. No, I'm not. I am actually going and reading this stuff. And I don't just read one article, as you see here. I've gone through 4 different articles so far. 2 of them CNN, and I didn't really go through those because you guys don't like it. So I gave you that freebie of not having to hear anything CNN had to say. So here's PolitiFact. PolitiFact, which is the one I was just using for Biden, which you guys will probably say is all false because Biden's a crooked person, blah, 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 blah. Come on. So, latest false fact checks on Donald Trump. With the historic Abraham Accords, I even made peace in the Middle East. Complete false. 100% false. So, go ahead and click on that one. Trump claims he made peace in the Middle East with Abraham Accords. Jeez, I cannot English today. What is going on? I must still be tired. Wifey's on vacation. Been home with the kiddos. Whew. 2020, Israel and several Arab companies signed the Abraham Accords. Sorry. The accords signed during the Trump administration normalized diplomatic relations among the countries, but the countries were not engaged in military conflict. Experts said the accords did not yield broad peace in the Middle East. So that's just the bullet points here. Trump has repeatedly said this exact lie since Hamas attacked Israel October 7th. In reality, the accords simply elevated and formalized relations between countries that already maintained back-channel ties. And this was said by Omar H. Rahman, a U.S.-based research fellow at the Middle East Council on Global Affairs. So, that was a lie. Abraham Accord did not address the Palestinian-Israel conflict. Just scrolling down here. So here's another thing that was proven false. CNN and the Associated Press admitted to knowing about Hamas' October 7th attack in advance, but didn't tell anyone. He can be sued for libel just on that. Come on. Don't be slow. New Hampshire has a worse drug problem per capita than any other state. No, it doesn't. That was proven false. I'm going to go ahead and click on that one. Let's go ahead and read a bit of this one. It was West Virginia, not New Hampshire, that ranks first in fatal drug overdoses. Look it up. There's data on it. I will go back, get the other ones going here. Just like the Cuban regime, the Biden administration is trying to put their political opponents in jail, shutting down free speech. False. Excuse me. It is exactly false. The criminal prosecutions against Trump are not just like the Cuban regime. In Hialeah, I don't know how to pronounce that exactly, a Cuban-American enclave in South Florida, former President Donald Trump compared the prosecutions by dictators in the Cuban homeland with the Biden administration's actions. Just like the Cuban regime, the Biden regime is trying to... we already said that crap, right? Shutting down free speech, taking bribes, and kickbacks to enrich themselves and their very spoiled children. Trump said November 8th in a speech that countered the Republican presidential primary debate in Miami. Trump has been saying the prosecutions are politically motivated and election interference. But in his remarks in Hialeah, he went much further by comparing the cases against him with actions of the Cuban government. See, this is how it works. You commit a crime, you get investigated, you go to court. That has nothing to do with Biden. By the way, some of these judges, he keeps calling them left wing. Oh my God. Anyway, and the Cuban regime has no parallel in the United States. Cuban government represses and punishes nearly all forms of dissent and public criticism, much like North Korea. They constantly stomp on human rights. Here it says a Madrid-based rights group reported that as of October, Cuba was holding 1,062 people who met the definition of political prisoners. We don't do that. Stated on October 7th of this year, sadly, American taxpayer dollars helped fund these attacks, which many reports are saying came from the Biden administration. Proven false. I did not mean to click on it. I'm just going to rifle through these. Said on September 27th of this year, when I took office, the auto industry was on its knees, gasping its last breath. Trump administration tariffs and taxes saved the American auto industry from extinction. No, it did not. Let's go ahead and click on that one. Blah, 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 blah. Repeating it. Donald Trump's repeated falsehood that he saved the U.S. auto industry. In 2008 and 9, interventions by the Bush and Obama administrations pulled auto and auto parts makers back from the brink of collapse. So literally he's taking credit for what Obama did. So, it's getting kind of short on time here because I have some things to do. It's almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon for me. Trump is a liar, plain and simple. He's been shown to be a liar time and time again. But you knuckleheads, you conservative ass clowns, you MAGA fucking cult dick suckers, constantly put this dude on a fucking silver platter and hold him above your head while he takes a shit on it. Anyway, that has been this video. Hope you all fucking burn in hell for what you let him do on January 6th. Bye.